Welcome back, everybody. It's the last one of the day and the last one of the entire conference. So, you know, here we go. Um, with me today is Nicole. They're from Kickstarter. I believe you're is it Games Outreach Lead or something like that?
Yes, that's perfect. You nailed it.
Cool. And they're going to be talking about the current state of crowdfunding and how to build a community, I believe.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, 10 out of 10. Great work. Yeah.
only because I've got it on this other screen here. Right, so if you're all good to go, I will
Yeah.
hand over.
Awesome. Perfect.
Awesome.
And I think you did it. Okay, great. Perfect. So hello and welcome everyone. This is the current state of crowdfunding and how to build a community. Thank you so much for coming. And I can't believe it's the last one. That's so exciting. I'll be your speaker. My name is Nicole Amato, and I'm currently the Games Outreach Lead at Kickstarter. Being the Games Outreach Lead basically means I work with creators all day, every day to help them with every aspect of their campaign, from pre-launch through their campaign and beyond. I started in the games industry in 2009 as a video games journalist. Then I moved on to do narrative design and editing for video games. I got involved in a few video game communities, and in 2013, at a game jam, I made my first tabletop game, which was called Resistor, and we won the jam. After a year and a half of prototyping, playtesting, and promoting the game, I launched it on Kickstarter in 2015. And then I went on to publish 4 more tabletop games. And I'm also doing writing for tabletop role-playing games. So it's been exciting. Here is today's agenda. We'll talk a little bit about what Kickstarter is and whether or not crowdfunding is an option for you. Then talk specifically about games at Kickstarter and some data I have around using it. I also want to highlight some standout video game campaigns and talk about what kind of games they were and what they offered to show the width and breadth of what can be crowdfunded. After that, I'll go through some effective ways to build a community, then building a strong campaign page. And then at the end, we'll have plenty of time for a Q&A. So if you have any questions, you can put them in the chat, and Tom is going to be amazing at wrangling them all. So here we go. So our story, Kickstarter began in 2009. So this is our 16th year. It's been pretty exciting. Here is a cool little sizzle reel of some of our largest campaigns. You'll see some recognizable faces there, like Brandon Sanderson and Bill Nye the Science Guy, as well as Mystery Science Theater 3000 and much more. So what you need to know about Kickstarter is we have what's called an all or nothing funding model. So you only get your funds if you make your funding goal. And I strongly feel that what you set as your funding goal should be what you need in order to make your product, as anything less than that wouldn't set you up for success. That might sound like common sense, but you would be surprised at how many people undersell. Focus on figuring out how much you need, and I would even recommend asking for slightly more so you're sure to cover all of your expenses. Many creators feel that it's important to focus on hype and set their goal as low as possible so they can say things like, fund it in 5 minutes. But I find that that's unrealistic and can also be very dangerous. If you need $10,000, but you only ask for $1,000, and then you end your campaign with $8,000, you've technically made your goal, but you don't have enough money to actually make your game. And then you're on the hook for that final $2,000. So it's really important to know your expenses up front. Reward crowdfunding means you give rewards for being funded. Reward examples for video games, I'll go into these in much more detail later, but they can include a thank you in the credits, a digital key for your game on whatever platforms you have available, digital or physical art books, a digital soundtrack, enamel pins, plushies, t-shirts, and so much more. Creative Charter. Kickstarter is a PBC, which stands for Public Benefit Charter, which lets us focus on this mission of helping you bring your projects to life. And if you want to read more about it, this deck will be available, and there's a link there. Creative outcome is also what it sounds like. All projects must have a creative outcome, meaning you're making something creative to share with the world. Here are some numbers. The Kickstarter breakdown by the numbers as of 2024. We've had over 255,000 projects funded, had over $8 billion pledged, and we've had over 23 million backers. Let's talk about the benefits of Kickstarter to designers and video game creators. It gives you the chance to connect directly with your audience. This means there's no middleman between you and your audience. You're bringing your game directly to your fans. Reduce barriers and take risks also ties in with that. You're making it easier for your audience to connect with you, but there's more risk because you are doing all the work yourself. This also gives you a chance to test your ideas and to give you a lot of creative independence that you might not have with a publisher. Some people bring their games to Kickstarter to test the market before they do a larger release. And it also opens the process of making. It gives you a chance to follow your vision as you see it. So, is crowdfunding still an option? Let's look at the data to answer that question. There have been over 43,500 successful games projects on Kickstarter across the entire category, with $2.6 billion pledged to those projects. So, according to the numbers 2 slides ago, that's over a quarter of the money that has been pledged all time and a fifth of the number of projects. Games are a huge part of Kickstarter. Video games are showing steady growth on the platform. In 2024, we had over 500 successful video game campaigns, which is our highest number in our 16-year history. Financially, it was our highest pledged year since 2015, with over $26 million pledged to successful campaigns. Some of the largest campaigns you might have heard of, they were My Time at Evershine, which is a cozy, high-quality sandbox simulation RPG, which made almost $3 million, and Stormgate, a real-time strategy game with hyper-responsive gameplay, a powerful editor, co-op, a campaign, and more, which raised over $2.3 million. For anyone who's not familiar with those two games, My Time at Evershine offered a digital copy of the game available on multiple platforms, Discord access, the soundtrack, digital art book, plushies, pins, tons, and I mean tons, of extra in-game rewards, and more. Stormgate offered a digital copy of the game, also available on multiple platforms, Discord access, beta access, plenty of extra in-game rewards, enamel pins, a statue, and more. Here's a look at the data by year. As you can see, 2015 was our biggest year for launched campaigns, while 2024 was our biggest year for successes, with 28% more successful campaigns. I'm also glad to see that the gap between successful campaigns and launch campaigns is definitely closing. So successful campaigns are on the rise, and I really love that. If you can't tell, I back a lot of video game campaigns. Here is the data I pulled a few weeks ago for 2025. We had 1,323 launched projects with 313 successful, over $17.5 million raised, and over 275,000 backers. And that's just so far this year. In a year with a lot of financial and economic turmoil, with the tariffs pushing a lot of campaigns back into Q3, these numbers were definitely better than I expected. Here are some excellent video game campaigns that have launched over the years and some examples of the rewards they had. Ratatan made over 200 million yen from nearly 15,000 backers. Ratatan is a rhythm roguelike action game. They offered digital and physical editions of the game, t-shirts, art books, keychains, hats, physical hats, extra in-game rewards, and more. They also offered many of these items as add-ons as opposed to just tiers, making it so people could pick and choose what items they wanted, if any. Micah and the Witch's Mountain made over 1.3 million euros from nearly 25,000 backers. This cozy game is a fantasy adventure about an aspiring witch who delivers packages to the townspeople of a small island, and it's heavily inspired by Kiki's delivery service. This one had physical tiers and was across multiple platforms. So they offered digital and physical copies of the game, beta access, figurines, washi tape, which was adorable, tons of in-game items, and more. This game is very cute. It lent itself very easily to making adorable physical and digital items. Loftia made over $1.2 million from almost 17,000 backers. It's a cozy solar punk MMO. They offer digital copies of the game, early access, digital art books, digital soundtracks, in-game items, and more, including the ability to help create an NPC for the game, which I thought was pretty rad. Another one of my favorites, Touch Starved, made over $820,000 from over 13,000 backers. It's a dark romance slash gothic horror visual novel. They offer digital copies of the game, digital wallpapers, and a ton of digital and physical items, including stickers, soundtracks, and art books. They also had charms, art prints, and enamel pins. And they offered the ability to get multiple digital keys of the game for you and a friend. And that's a tier that I've been excited to see that one on the rise because it's a great way. It's a light lift way to get more copies of your game out into the world. And I will admit, until I started doing this research, I had forgotten Banner Saga was a Kickstarter. That happens to me every once in a while. I forget that something was a Kickstarter. Banner Saga made over $720,000 from over 20,000 backers. For anyone not familiar with this one, it's a mature, story-driven, turn-based strategy game steeped in Viking culture. This one had a long and intricate list of rewards, including digital copies of the first chapter of the game, digital wallpaper, physical signed and unsigned posters, physical soundtracks, and some expensive high level tiers that included items like sheet music and the ability to have a personal heirloom of yours added to the game as a relic. I really love these kinds of unique tiers and how they allow their backers and fans to become really involved in the making of the game. And here's one of my all time favorites, Hyper Light Drifter. It made almost $650,000 from over 24,000 backers. It's a 2D action adventure role playing game inspired by 16-bit classics. They offer digital copies of the game, PDF instruction booklets, beta access, digital art books, digital soundtracks, a physical t shirt, and some other physical items, including the art book and art prints, as well as lots of in game items. A quick comment about making physical items. I just wanted to say that I just listed off a lot of physical rewards that people offered for some of these campaigns that made a good chunk of money. And I want to say that unless you have experience making physical items or know someone who does, it's very dangerous to go into it without knowing all of your costs up front. If you have never done it before, I highly recommend working with a company that has. Serenity Forge is a big one that does merchandise for games. And if you go to them before you even start planning out your reward tiers, they can help you plan out what your physical items can be and how best they can be manufactured, sold, and shipped. There are other companies as well, like the Yeti and Fangamer, that also have a ton of experience with this. And I would be happy to share contact information with anybody who is thinking about going in this direction. And I'll have my email address at the end, so please don't worry. So let's talk about how to build a community. This is a question I get asked often, and while I don't think there's a perfect formula for it, there are definitely some good ways that it can be done. Building a community in 2025 can feel daunting, but the main thing is to really focus on what you're making and who you think it speaks to. And this is something I'm going to say over and over again. Once you find that audience, you can figure out how to bring them in. I have found that in person and online events can be a great way to find those people, but you have to make sure you're at the right kind of events. Once you find those fans, you can gather them all in one place. Many video game creators use Discord. And then from there, find ways to keep them engaged and active. So, figuring out which events are right for you can be tricky. If you're making a roguelike deck builder about cooking, you would likely find success at maybe one of the PAXs, and you could submit to something like PAX Rising or the other local events that happen around those shows. If you're making an indie game that touches on political or social issues, you might want to submit to Indiecade or the Independent Games Festival at GDC. There are so many events and showcases that you can submit to or be a part of, both in person and online. Once you figure out who you think your audience is, it's important to figure out where they go and find them there. These are some of the events I just mentioned. PAX East is in Boston and PAX West is in Seattle. They both have an excellent curated section called PAX Rising that you can submit to. And in Seattle, there's also the Media Indie Exchange and the Seattle Indies Expo, both of which usually happen the same weekend as PAX. Media Indie Exchange isn't unique to PAX either. I believe that also happens at GDC. Indiecade and IGF are excellent, as is the Wholesome Games Showcase. There are tons of online showcases out there, and finding the one that fits you best is crucial. So I recommend doing some research. Steam Next Fest is also critical for your success. Planning when you will have your game in Next Fest can very well be part of your crowdfunding plan if you're crowdfunding near the launch of your game. Once you've found your audience and start building your community, you need to find ways to keep them engaged and active. You can hire a community manager, or initially, someone on your team can do some research and take on that role to start. I do know that indie teams can be small and not have a lot of money, so that can be tough. But I do recommend getting a community manager if you can afford it. They can get people playing the game together, asking questions in chat, and hosting streams. They'll be excellent at managing your engagement. Now let's talk about the specifics of campaign basics, which can be intimidating. This is a little bit noisy of a slide, so I'm just going to go through it. This is the suite of products currently available on the Kickstarter platform. We have a pre-launch page that will let you harness the power of anticipation. You can customize your pre-launch landing page, tease your project, and build a community of interested followers before your campaign even drops. Those interested followers will get an email when you launch. And as of a few weeks ago, you can also engage with them via pre-launch updates. So you can write an update that will just go directly to your followers before you launch. Campaign, we're the world's leading and most trusted crowdfunding platform with the biggest crowd and over $8 billion so far in funding for creative projects. We have some new products here as well, including an improved story editor, secret rewards, and featured rewards. Post-campaign, everything you need to raise more funds, manage backer data, and deliver with confidence, all on Kickstarter. We now also have late pledges and a pledge manager available. Also new is performance marketing. We have an experienced in-house team that provides end-to-end support to help you craft more effective ads with no upfront payment required. Advertising has become a huge part of crowdfunding, and we now have our own team that can target backers who have backed campaigns similar to yours, as well as your own followers who haven't yet converted to backers. So let's go over some of the campaign basics. Number one, define your idea and identify your audience. We've already discussed this one in detail, but it's important here as well for building your campaign as it's who you're going to be marketing to. Number two is work out how you'll make it and how much it costs. This is important because it determines what your funding goal will be. Number three is start to connect with your audience. Ideally, you want to give yourself at least 3 months before you launch, but with video games, it never hurts to have a longer runway. And we see people putting up pre-launch pages as long as a year in advance to collect those follows. Number four is build your campaign page, make your film your video and get approval. We'll talk about those a little bit more in the next slide. Number five, pre-launch on Kickstarter or your own site. Again, this is minimum of 1 month, but it never hurts to have this set up sooner. Launch, typically we see campaigns lasting 30 days, but you can always do more or less. Post-campaign funding and fulfillment, this is where you finish creating your project and deliver it. Here is the timeline. First, I want to talk about building your page, which can be intimidating. You have to make an account and build your basic draft, but before you do even that, you have to put in your bank account and other details. So be sure to give yourself enough time for all of those items to get approved as well, not just through Kickstarter, but through Stripe, our payment processor. I know that that's all some of the boring stuff, but it's necessary. About 40% of your preparation time will be the basic draft and project review. The review itself can take 3 to 6 business days. The other 60% is creating your pre-launch page, finalizing your draft, and launching the project. In the draft page, you're also able to share links with other people so they can give you feedback, which can be crucial in finishing up your page. Sometimes you have just been looking at the page for so long that you just need other input, and it can be very helpful. We're going to talk about some elements of a successful campaign, which include your fulfillment plan, telling your story, and building your community, which I'm going to get into in more detail. So we'll start with your fulfillment plan. So your fulfillment information, which we talked about already, is what's going to determine your overall funding goal. With making your digital game, you need to be sure your labor is covered, as well as any other members of your team. If you're making physical products to go along with it, like physical games or enamel pins, you'll need to know exactly how much those items are going to cost in order to figure out how much money you need to make them. And again, some of this stuff might sound really obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people create a funding goal without having a plan. This involves getting quotes from manufacturers and also figuring out how much your shipping costs will be. When it comes to shipping costs, I always recommend including that in your campaign page as an estimated shipping table that you charge later, letting people know about how much it should cost once you charge shipping. This also allows you to predict realistic delivery times, as manufacturers will also let you know how long it will take to print. It's always a good idea to pad those times. That way, if anything goes wrong, you're erring on the side of caution. And this is all very true for your game design as well. Just make sure you're giving yourself enough time. You can't predict every disaster that will happen, but you can at least pad your time. Let's talk about how to tell your story. The campaign page and the project video will be about your creative endeavor, but they should also be about you. Backers want to see that you're a real person, and adding in personal stories about yourself and how you made your project are important to your campaign. I always recommend at least having a team section where you can talk about yourself and your team if you have one. Figuring out your reward levels is also important and very personal. And finally, updates should be engaging your backers and encouraging them to interact with you and the project. Personally, my favorite updates are the ones where the creator's asking me a question. If they're unveiling something, I always enjoy it when they ask for backer input on what they want to see next. Your main image should always include the name of your game and be as clear as possible. Don't clutter it up with icons or badges. Make sure it shows what your campaign is about at a glance. The same goes for your headline. It should clearly tell what your campaign is. As I mentioned before, your team is an important part, and so is the development process. I would keep some of the development process for updates, which we'll talk about in a little bit. So that way, if you're having a slow week, you have something to update your backers on that keeps them engaged. Here is Loftia again. Your headline and your main image are crucial to get right, as not only is it the first thing people see when they're browsing through Kickstarter, it's also what we use if it gets chosen for one of our newsletters. Make sure the headline is clear, concise, and accurately portrays what you feel is the most important information about your game. Remember, Kickstarter is a visual platform. Start with a concise overview of the product, prioritize the key information into sections, don't forget to use headers, and use great images, videos, and GIFs throughout. This board game, Dracula's Curse, raised over $300,000 with over 3,700 backers, and they did an excellent job using on theme imagery that drew in backers' attention throughout their entire campaign page. Show the design process. This is the fourth prototype of my first game, Resistor, and it's a far cry from the final product. I had a great time photographing all the old prototypes and seeing the progress my game had made, and so did our fans. I highly recommend tracking this and sharing it. I would keep these rougher images for your updates, as you don't want to scare away potential backers if they're just scrolling through and they see these images and think this is what they'll be receiving. Design process images can be a great way to engage with people who are already backing and can give them some extra behind the scenes images of your game and your development. And it can really make them feel special and like they're a part of it. Showcase your team, even if that's just you and a couple of collaborators. Backers are interested to know more about you and your work. It helps them understand your experience and if you've delivered a project like this before. It's also nice to connect with you and see how much you love and believe in what you've created. Backers also want to know that you're a human being and they enjoy seeing that they're helping a real person bring a game to life. For your video, I would try to keep it within 2 to 3 minutes and be sure to showcase your work up front. If you're comfortable, you can also show yourselves, but that's not integral. What I mean by showcase your work up front is I would focus on showing the game first, maybe for like the first minute and a half. And then if you are comfortable having yourself on camera, you can then have like a little bit of yourself talking about why you chose Kickstarter or crowdfunding. My very favorite video is this one for the campaign, the Time Scouts Handbook, which is a publishing project about a scout book for time travelers. The video is a sheer delight, and while I know everyone can't have this level of professional quality, I just love sharing it. The main factors in a good video are expressing what's special about your game while also talking about yourself and why you've decided to use crowdfunding to make your creative project. For rewards, $25 is the most common pledge. 5 to 7 is the ideal number of tiers, and $100 is the tier that generates the most money. I've tossed in an image here from my second game, Laser Riders. We included digital wallpapers of each of the characters in the game, and this one's my favorite. We've already gone through some typical ideas for rewards, but just to reiterate, they can include acknowledgments, whether that be credits or on your website, the product itself, a memento, so maybe an enamel pin, a keychain, or a shirt, or an experience, like the chance to play your game with a backer, either in person or online, or as we mentioned before, the chance to help design an NPC. Many video game creators also offer special Discord roles to backers of the game as well, giving them more insight into the creative process. They also sometimes include the ability to playtest early versions of the game ahead of time, and this is a great way to get additional playtesting done before you release your game. We've already talked about finding your audience. So this is more about that as well as about turning them into backers. To reach your funding goal, you want to focus on your pre-launch community and backers, but you also want to think about the Kickstarter community, press and influencers, and ads and paid media. We're going to talk about each of these items in the next slides. So it's important to build your pre-launch community. And I found in the games category, one of the best ways to do that is to go to events where your potential backers are, as I mentioned previously. There are tons of places to find your audience, but it's important to figure out which of these places are a good fit for what you're creating. All that being said, 60 to 70% of backers will come from your network or your outreach efforts. You should aim to reach 20 to 30% of your goal in the first 48 hours, which will likely be from those efforts. Email is a great tool. You should be collecting email addresses even before you have a project page, especially if you intend to make more than one game. There's an 82% success rate of projects with at least 25 backers, which is a very reachable goal and will help you build momentum. Spend time working out who these 25 people are and how you'll connect with each one of them. These folks might also share your project with their networks. Be sure to keep your emails and updates personal to keep these people engaged. The Kickstarter community is also important, and finding your place there is another piece of the puzzle. The Kickstarter algorithm will pick up campaigns that take off financially, but it also kicks in if your campaign has a lot of engagement. A good way to build this is to talk to other creators who are also launching when you are and to offer to cross promote each other in your updates. If you can get the community to notice your project, you'll be well on your way to success. We also have a process for getting project we love, so if you reach out to the games team, we can help you apply for that. I also didn't mention this, but there's something that we have called open calls, where it's basically just anyone can join it. In October, we're going to be having an open call that's called Witch Starter, and it's anything that's like magic and divination. And during those open calls, we actually have some targeted newsletters and do extra support for those campaigns. So that's also a great way to be noticed by the community. You should also speak to press and influencers as well. I know there are a lot out there, but again, as with finding your audience, it's important to look at game review sites and find the ones that review games like the one you're making. You can look at different review sites and see which ones are reviewing games in the same genre as you and reach out to them to see if they'll write about your game. You can also offer to do interviews about your process, something that game fans are very interested in, especially if they want to make games themselves. And finally, ads and paid media are an integral part of finding your audience. You can learn how to run ads, or you can hire an agency to run them for you. There are a lot of companies out there that can offer this. So be sure to find one that works for you if you go this direction. Launchboom, Jellup, Pulling Power are just a few of the agencies. And as I mentioned previously, Kickstarter has also started doing in house performance marketing as well. And you can also factor those costs into your funding goal. Just another thing to keep track of. One final thing I want to talk about is updates. While you're live, you'll want to be sure to post updates about your campaign. These updates can be about stretch goals, game content, events you'll be attending, your design process, or anything you want to share while the campaign is live. 1 or 2 a week while you're live is healthy, and after you've funded, you can choose a cadence to update your backers. Some creators choose a recurring day of the month, like say like the first Tuesday, where they just let their backers know everything going on to keep them informed and engaged. And that's everything I have for you today. Thank you so much for coming. If you want to contact us, our email address is games@kickstarter.com, and that goes to our whole team.
Cool. That was actually really, really interesting.
Thank you.
I mean, I'm especially that intro, like that video that you had. I mean, seeing Brandon's face on there was just, oh yeah.
It's
So
so funny. Yeah.
I'm guessing that was from the Stormlight archive miniatures.
No, I think that was from the surprise 4 books, or maybe it was from the miniatures one. I actually don't know which one it's from. That's so funny. I'm
Because
so bad I don't
I
watch
know
videos.
all about those because I love tabletop models, and Stormlight is my all-time favorite
Heck
book
yeah.
series. So yeah, I was kind of yeah.
I'm reading it right now. I'm in
Unfortunately,
book 2.
oh, you wait, you wait. I've lost count the amount of times I've read it, listened to it. So, yeah, you wait. But yeah, I was a bit late on the Brotherwise Games Stormlight models. I was a bit late to back them, but oh well, you can get them from Brandon's website anyway. And I'm guessing Evershine, is that part of the like my time at Porsche and Sandrock?
Yeah, I think they're all connected together.
Because yeah, I played the absolute heck out of my time at Porsche. So we do have a few questions.
Yeah.
I did also see something from Danny Silvers. He was doing one of the talks yesterday. He says that here we go. Boston also has the Boston Fig Festival. I have
And
no idea what that is, but
Boston Fig is awesome. It's the Boston Festival of Indie Games, and they have a tabletop section and a video game section, and it is an absolute blast. I started going to that like 10 or 11 years ago, and I've even been a curator for it, and it is some top-notch stuff. It's very good. And like I said, it just depends on where you live. If you live in like the northeast of the country, there are so many cool like small video game, like I mean MagFest is also a great one. MagFest has the MagFest Indie Video Game Showcase, and now they have the MagFest Indie Tabletop Showcase. There's just so
many different
Yeah,
things.
yeah. But Boston Fig is a good one. Seal of approval from me on Boston Fig.
Cool. So first question comes from YouTube, and it's from Leopoldo. I think I said his name right. Is there a maximum anticipation to pre-launch?
Gosh, that's such a great question. I mean, we have people who set up their campaign page like a year in advance, so there's not really, one of the things that people always worry about is, oh my gosh, if I set up my pre-launch page too soon, will people forget about it? But we've actually just put out the ability to send pre-launch updates to your followers. So if somebody followed your campaign page 12 months ago, and then you're like, okay, I finally have a launch date, I'm going to launch in 1 month, you can just send out an update and they'll get it. And that people can be,
Wow,
oh my gosh, I forgot I even followed this, and they can get like a delightful update about it. Or it can be like, wow, I've been thinking about this for a year. I can't wait to play this game.
What a way to build hype, hey?
Yeah.
Keep them waiting, keep them
I
keen.
mean, in tabletop, I will tell you that it's been difficult because the tariffs have just pushed so many people back. So
Oh,
people who were going to launch
yeah.
in April might have set up their pre-launch page in January, and now they're not going to launch until October. So that's like the anticipation there is it's a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, yesterday we had someone from the Detective Society. They appeared on the UK version of Shark Tank, and basically they do hybrid
I'm gonna look
games.
that up. The detectives.
Yeah, they do hybrid, kind of like murder mystery sort of.
Ooh.
Yeah, and he was saying that tariffs have just made sending the games away from the UK
Yeah.
almost impractical. So
Yeah. Yeah. It's been
yeah,
rough.
I can see why it would have hit projects on Kickstarter quite badly.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, ow. Sorry, just got twinge in my neck. Not had that happen for a long time. Okay, so another one from YouTube. This
Yeah.
one's from Charles. It's kind of two in one, really. Is there an MVP of the product that gets funded more? And how does a team know that they're ready for Kickstarter when it comes to video games?
I don't know if there's an MVP of the product that gets funded more. We've gone back and forth and done a bunch of research, and we found that, I don't have like a set answer for video games, but for board games, it's wild to me that sometimes the deluxe edition far outsells the regular edition. Like, especially if
Mm,
they're very close in price, like if the regular edition is 25 and the deluxe is maybe 50, like we'll find that it like doubles the number. So it's really tough to tell. It's all about like what your price point is and how much you're offering. And then how does a team know that they're ready for a Kickstarter when it comes to video games? I think that's a great question that can be across all categories.
mm.
One of the things that we've seen shifting is I'm going to give you a math equation real quick. So people are always like, what's the formula for getting funded? And there's not a perfect formula, but if I could give any formula, it would be if you take 20% of your followers. So if you have a pre-launch page and you have 1,000 followers, assume that 20% of them are gonna back you immediately. So that's 200 people. If you can take that number times the level that you think most people are gonna back. So if you think like, oh, my $20 tier is where I think most people are gonna back. If you can times those two numbers together and that can get you to your funding goal, you're good to go. So a lot of people have been, instead of saying, I am definitely launching on October 7th, they've been saying, okay, I'm going to launch when I have 2,000 followers. So it's more of they know they're ready when they think that they can get that math equation.
Once they think they can reach that target
Right. And that
with the
equation isn't
bare
perfect,
minimum.
but yeah, yeah, yeah.
No,
So
that's
yeah.
cool. All right, so let's go with Clumsy Bear. They've had some brilliant questions so
I
far
love the
today.
name.
Clumsy Bear Studios. So why do I see many games charging a higher price on Kickstarter and then launch price on Steam at like $25? Is that common?
I'm not sure. I don't know why that happens. I haven't seen that personally, but I do know that a lot of people, when they launch on Steam or when they're in early access, they will launch at a discount.
Mm,
Like a lot. I don't, and I feel like Steam has changed their rules because it used to be that if you put your game at a discount, you had like a cooldown window where you couldn't do another discount for like X number of days. But I'm not sure if that's still
yeah.
true. But
I mean,
I'm
I've
not sure. We usually see the opposite. We usually see people charge a price on Kickstarter and then charge a higher price on Steam because they're trying to get people in on that FOMO. So that's what
mm,
we've mostly seen on our end.
and so a game that launched yesterday, Town to City, that launched with a straight discount.
Yeah,
Like
they
I
all
have
do
seen
that.
a lot of games lately launch with a straight discount. and
Yeah,
it's
my wish
I
list is a mess,
understand it,
so
but
I
at
get
the
a lot of
same time,
emails.
it's like, if you had done the crowdfunding thing, do you really want to be effectively stiffing your backers?
Right. Yeah.
So, but no, that is a brilliant question. All right, let's see what else we have. We'll go back to Leopoldo. Uh, is there any data of video retention and views? So they say 3 minutes seems like a lot now. I mean, what with
There
all the short form content?
yeah, there is. I don't know what it is. 3 minutes does sound like a lot. And if you can get everything about your campaign page into like a 1 minute video, like I say 2 to 3 minutes because most people are like, is 8 minutes okay? And I'm like, it's not you I barely get through the first minute of any videos. So I think if you can get everything you need into a shorter video, you're my hero. Because most people are like, well, I mean, it's just 10 minutes. Can you just look at it? And I'm like, I can't. I don't have 10 minutes. Who has that kind of time? Yeah.
I mean, personally, I like longer form content. Short form, for some things, yeah, but most of the time, I much prefer, say a 3-4 hour stream than
Sure. Yeah.
you know than
Absolutely.
little
Yeah.
shorts here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah. I
We've
just
had
said that after having watched like a 3 hour video about cozy JRPGs. So like yeah.
yeah, so we've had confirmation from both Leopoldo and Danny. There is still that wait and cooldown on Steam discounts
Okay. Thank
unless
you. Thank you.
it's a site-wide sale. So like the fall sale or the winter
Oh.
sale, or stereotypical Steam summer sale.
Thank you. That is very interesting. Thank you.
So yeah, that is good to know. And yeah, yeah, we are kind of a minority in that we prefer the longer form content. So question regarding Kickstarter and the open calls.
Sure.
Alberto wants to know, where
Yeah.
can I find the news?
I believe it's kickstarter.com/open-calls. Yeah.
So let me
I can
pop
put
that
it.
in the chat.
Yeah, that would be great.
Kickstarter.com/open dash, like hyphen.
Open hyphen calls. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
There we go.
Yeah. So
I
it's got
think I
all
got
of
that
our
right.
open calls. Yeah, perfect. You nailed it. Yeah.
Awesome. Uh,
It's very cool. The
so
open calls feel like a game jam to me. There's Zine Quest, there's Witch Starter, there's one that we just started called Hardbacks and Heartstrings, which is all about smut, which I love.
oh, okay,
Yeah.
not my kind of a thing, but I can see it has an audience. I just look at 50 Shades and all of that. So I've got a question from Danny this time.
Yeah.
He had a game on Kickstarter back in 2011. Other than outlier projects like Star Citizen, how have you seen trends, growth, and rates of success change in that time?
I don't have like full data on that off the cuff, but I've I've been working at Kickstarter for 3 years, and I've seen there's definitely been like, while there have been more successful campaigns, I've also seen that those campaigns have been asking for less money. So I think
Hmm.
it's been a mix of people are sort of going to Kickstarter when the game is almost finished. So they just go to Kickstarter like sort of for the last financial push and or as like a way to market the game. So it's like an easy way, not easy, but it's a way for them to like market it to a different audience and kind of, sell X number of copies before they launch. So
Hmm.
that's one of the big trends that we've seen, is that people aren't asking for as much per campaign. And so I think that has been, and I think that has sort of been flipped recently, because VC, because of the situation with, venture capital funding has become less than optimal. So now people are going back to needing more than just a little bit of money. So it's been up and down.
Okay. So we've got a very international question here now, from Nadine. Do you think South Africa will have luck by doing Kickstarter or just going straight to investors?
I mean, I think you can do both. I think there are people who run a Kickstarter and then they show their success to investors to try to get them to invest more. And then the other way around, they go to
Mm.
investors and they say, hey, would you be willing to give us X amount of money if we were willing to crowdfund the rest of the money that we needed? So I think that those two things can actually go hand in hand.
Mm. And so it's nice to see things pop up from places that aren't, South Korea, Japan, China, the UK, the US. I mean, I can't think of any off the top of my head right now, but I know I have played some games that have been absolutely top tier, and they've come from places that you wouldn't necessarily associate with game dev, because it's stereotypically seen as a American or Japanese thing.
Right, right.
So, but I would love to see more. Oh, Alberto's from Brazil. Yeah. I would love to see more from places like South Africa and whatnot. I mean, my wife and her family, they're all South African, so kind of repping that. Does anyone else have any more questions, or should I ask the ones that I've got queued up?
Alberto said that he couldn't get the that site to work. I would just Google Kickstarter open calls. That might also take you to the page, or you could Google Witch Starter, which should take you to at least the Witch Starter page.
So that's Witch Starter.
That one's coming up soon, and that one I'm really excited about. I actually did a webinar about it yesterday, so I'm on back-to-back webinars this week.
Well, my wife's really into witchy stuff, so it's like, I may have to.
She will love it. It's like tarot cards, and somebody referred to it as like a Halloween craft market, and I was like, okay, that's amazing.
Yeah, that's I would definitely need to look into that one. Okay, so one of the questions that I've got, do you think that backers' expectations of transparency and rewards have shifted over, say, the last 5-10 years?
Yes. One of the things that I've wanted to do more than anything is sort of a backer education video, because I feel that because there were several high profile campaigns that underdelivered, I think that backers have sort of been more, until the last 2 years, backers had sort of been very tentative about backing video game campaigns, because you'll see comments that are like, oh, is this going to be like this other campaign, or I feel like you're overreaching. And I think that it would be great if there was a way that we could explain to backers, like, a lot of venture capitalist funding has dried up. A lot of, because what we also see a lot is, well, why does this board game Kickstarter only need $10,000, but this video game Kickstarter needs $100,000? And it's like, well, the board game creator is only charging, they only want enough money to print the game. They don't want to pay
to
themselves
make
for
the
any of their
physical.
labor. They don't want to pay themselves for anything that they've done. And the video game creator is probably going to take 2 years to finish that game, and they have to live on that money. So that money is going to pay them
They've
for their
got
labor.
licensing costs,
Right.
and all
They need to buy the
sorts.
hardware. Yeah. So I think it would be great to have backer education on that, especially because some of the venture capitalist funding has dried up. So a creator who might need $100,000 in 2 years might now need $250,000 in 5 years. So I think but I think that as long as they're upfront and say, like, hey, our delivery date is going to be, like, if they were launching today, they could say, like, hey, our delivery date is going to be September 2027. and this is when we hope to have a playtest ready. This is when we're going to hope to have early access. And one of the things that we've
Mm,
seen a huge rise in over the last 2 years has been playable demos on the Kickstarter page. Soundtrack clips on the Kickstarter page, like basically a lot of proof that the game is
mm,
already being created. So I think that has helped with, it's been one of the things that has become necessary for backers to back campaigns.
mm. I think one thing that might also help, you know, the the people who have the campaigns, is if they do like devlogs
Yeah,
as part of their update. You know, I'll use Digital Extremes as an example. You know, the creators of Warframe, um, they do dev streams every month. They do community streams every week, and yeah, they're not asking for funding and all that, but they're showing this is what we've been up to.
yeah,
We can't wait for you to try it.
yeah,
So yeah, having something like that I think would help with backers' reticence.
yeah. I
Because I
agree.
mean, I've backed a miniature 3D printer, and I mean miniature. It's only that big, um, and for the longest time there was no update whatsoever. And then suddenly in the last year, it's been like, oh yeah, we're in production, but there's all these problems with Chinese manufacturing, and
Right.
like they have more public holidays than you can ever imagine. It seems like every month there's a 3-4 day public holiday. So I've seen both sides where it's you're inundated with information, and then you're not told anything for months on end.
Yeah, you're borderline ghosted. Yeah, yeah.
But on the plus side, I should be receiving that in the next couple of months.
That's
So
awesome.
that's gonna be great. I just need to figure out what resin to use with it. um ooh. Have you noticed a trend of types of video games or studios that seem to succeed with the crowdfunding?
I think it kind of ebbs and flows with what people want right now. So, right now,
Mm.
a ton of cozy games.
Yeah, I was going to
Last
say
year,
cozy
last
games
year,
seem to be where everyone's throwing all
oh
their
yeah,
resources.
last year, deck builders. Uh, a
That's
lot
something
of
I could
games.
never get. I could never understand a deck builder.
I mean, cozy deck builders are crushing it right now. So,
I can imagine.
yeah, at PAX this year at PAX West, there's a game called like Arcane Eats or something like that, and it is a deck builder it's like a cooking deck builder, and it's adorable. And I was like, "Can I please have this right now?" And they were like, "You need to leave. Please get out." But yeah, it kind of ebbs and flows with whatever's popular. That ends up getting a lot of
Mm.
attention.
No, that's cool. Do I mean I've got loads of them. um, so do you see crowdfunding becoming more of a supplement as opposed to traditional funding rather than the primary source?
Gosh, I don't know anymore. It's I mean, I think that with how much things have been changing over the last year and a half with funding,
Mm,
like I was just at an event where people were talking about, angel investing and venture capitalist funding, and like how much money they were getting and how much money they were expecting to get and how much they got from Kickstarter. And I think we're going to see more of those two things going hand in hand than we did
mm,
before. Like exactly what I said earlier about the Nadine's question. I think that we're going to see more, venture capitalists or investors saying like, hey, can you show us that the market wants your product?
Can you
Or
show us that people are interested, or
right,
yeah.
right. And we see this in board games where people might use Kickstarter as a market test, right? They might be like, well, let's see how much of the market wants this. Oh my gosh, quite a lot of people want this. Well, now we can use those numbers to predict how many we want to print and put into retail, and how much
Mm,
like they use it for projections. And it's
yeah,
different with video games because they're not like physically creating a product, but I think that it can still, I think it can still translate over.
cool. I think one last question, seeing as how it's getting close to the hour mark. Um, what lessons should new developers take from the current state of crowdfunding before attempting it themselves?
I think one important thing that people don't think about is, and this doesn't necessarily depend on crowdfunding, but I think a lot of people don't think about where Steam Next Fest fits into their plan. And I think that that's one thing that you have to absolutely think about before you plan out your crowdfunding. Like if you're crowdfunding, if your game isn't even in early access yet, then you might want to crowdfund and then use Steam Next Fest for when you become in early access. But if you're planning on launching your Kickstarter and then if you're already in early access or you're going to go into early access as soon as you're done the Kickstarter, like you might as well try to plan it all around a Steam Next Fest because that's going to be so much incredible organic traffic. And I
Mm,
think that people don't realize how valuable that is and how important it is to, because I think you can only do it once.
yeah,
Uh, somebody in the chat might correct me. Okay, okay. Um,
I'm pretty sure it is. You can only do Next Fest once with
yeah. So I
that
think
particular game.
I think kind of lining that up with your crowdfunding plans is really important. And I think that also just knowing about, showcases and how you can also sort of like I think having your crowdfunding plan and baking that into all of the things that you're going to be showcasing at is really critical. I don't know if I answered your
Mm.
question with that, but I just feel so strongly about that.
No, I mean you could even use it as kind of like cross advertising, on Steam
Absolutely.
Next Fest. One of the pictures would be as seen on Kickstarter, or
Yeah.
something like that.
Yeah.
I think there would be so many opportunities for cross advertising or cross promotion or whatever you want to term it as. Clumsy Bear, yes, it is. You can only have one shot at Steam Next
Great.
Fest
Thank
with
you. Thank you so
a
much.
particular game. I mean, I have seen the same devs be featured, but with
Right.
different games.
Right.
So yeah, I thought it was kind of a one and done job with each title. So, but yeah, I mean, is there anything you want to plug or?
No, if anybody has any questions for us, we are games at kickstarter.com. Like, please feel free to message us. Yeah, I love working with video game creators. So, please send me your questions.
Is there anything that's currently on campaign that you're
Oh no.
particularly
Uh,
excited about?
Risk of Rain 2, the Risk of Rain board game just finished. That was the one that was like that I was freaking out about the most. That was my favorite one. I can't think of any others because I've been trying not to look at too many live campaigns or think about them because I was like, my credit card is going to get
Shut up
charged
and take my
a
money.
lot of money from Risk of Rain, so I should not be looking at any other. So anytime somebody sent me one, I'd be like, "Thank you, that looks very good. I'm happy
Thank
to
you,
give
but
them
no.
advice. I will not be." Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I get that. Well, thank you so much, Nicole. This has
Thank
been
you so much for
an
having me.
amazing talk. I've learned a whole lot. I'm sure everyone watching has as well. Um, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone who has watched, who's asked questions, provided answers, uh, those who have, um, given talks. I also want to remind everyone that the slides that have been used in every single one of the sessions will be sent out next week to all those with a ticket. You can get one for free from Eventbrite. So if you want the presentations to go over yourself, then go over to Eventbrite, sign up, get the free ticket, and next week you'll be getting the decks sent out to you. And yeah, don't forget to keep an eye on our socials for any upcoming events. As soon as we've decided on dates and whatnot, they will be going out. And also in our Discord, we will be running polls for having you guys decide what topic we talk about next. So yeah, I just want to say a massive thank you to everyone that's been involved and to Nicole especially for such an amazing talk.
Thank
And
you.
yeah, we'll catch you all next time.
Thanks, Tom. Thanks, everybody.